Mr. Matubela, we welcome you to the Sentinel. You were addressing the media, and among other things, you touched on the situation in the Zimbabwe National War Veterans Association. What is the issue with the current leadership of the War Veterans Board?
Thank you for inviting me. In a nutshell, I can simply say, veterans at large, they are very disappointed. They are very disappointed, to say the least. Their expectations was, after electing the leadership would then go back to the constituents and interact to find out where issues are, that is to do with the welfare. But regrettably, our leaders kept on neglecting or not even interacting with that constituents which elected them into the positions of authority. It is now close to 6 years. Not even a single time have they held annual general meetings and subsequent the Congress, and in between, obviously we should have raised issues that have to do with the welfare of the veterans. And to us, we are extremely disappointed in the leadership. They are our colleagues. We thought that wherever they are, they would have taken advantage by playing a catalytic role between these special constituents, which is the veterans, and our stakeholders, which is government and any other institutions that would help improve the welfare of the veterans.
Thank you. Some say war veterans have become greedy. They are now concentrating on their own tummies at the expense of the other Zimbabweans.
I wish they would point out where exactly our greediness is and what exactly do they mean by us being greedy. All we are saying, like every citizen of Zimbabwe who are entitled to raise their concern whenever they find it fit, as an association for and on behalf of veterans, we are raising issues which we think are important to the veterans. When we talk about the land issue, we are not talking specifically on behalf of veterans. We are now talking on behalf of Zimbabwean, black Zimbabweans who were disempowered during the colonial era. We are now saying, statistically, how many people have access to land, the very land that we fought for? How many people? You find that we are very few of them, and the very few, you find them probably they are aligned to partisan politics. We are simply saying, if it is land, remember Zimbabwe is not a family. It's not a family business. It's a country that its citizens are neither Shona, Ndebele, white, black, or it's for all of us. So when we speak on behalf of the citizens or the nationals of Zimbabwe.
But then some say it's only you who got $50,000 payout. And
Comrade, let me address the issue of the 50,000. United Nations had money that was earmarked to the 5 former liberation armies, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was $2 billion, which was meant to cushion the problems that war veterans as they integrate into society. That money came in, and by then, the then President Robert Gabriel Mugabe was responsible for fairly distributing that money. And as far as I know, we were supposed to be given $500,000 each combatant. But instead, I hear that at the end of the day, the president with his cabinet and other colleagues, decided to give us 50,000 Zim dollars. So there is this outcry about us having received 50,000 each, and as a result, we caused inflation in Zimbabwe. It is not true. The money didn't come from the fiscus. It came from the United Nations. It was rightful ours. In fact, we are still waiting for the other. If it was true 500,000 each, that means I'm still being owed 450,000 US dollars. And I can only safely conclude that maybe the President Mugabe, why he decided not to give us all that money, is because he wanted us to remain impoverished. You know, when people are poor, it's easy to control them. It's no wonder why right now we find ourselves grown-up men and women who have gone to fight to liberate this country. We still sit under trees being addressed by small politicians who simply don't have a clue. They don't even have the history of the struggle. And we are taught on how we should run our country. In fact, being the vanguard of this of the liberation struggle, they should be tapping this knowledge and experience from us to better the lives of the Zimbabweans. But it's the other way around. We are being taught by novices, and it is just not proper.
Okay, then the prevailing political and socio-economic situation in Zimbabwe, what's your take as a war veteran?
Look, to us, that's why I'm saying what causes this, the challenges in Zimbabwe is just the toxin in the political climate. People have resorted to fight personal wars. It's either the ZANU-PF, which is the ruling party, and on the other side, there is the opposition. And the opposition doesn't have its own solution. All it says is ZANU-PF is misgoverning the country, is corrupt and all that. Let's talk about corruption. You know, corruption knows no color or tribe. Corruption comes in when an individual sees an opportunity. So to talk about ZANU or MDC being corrupt, I think we are not trying to address the issue. But let me also address the aspect of why there are problems amongst the black citizens of Zimbabwe. It's power politics. It's no longer to do with the interest of the generality of Zimbabweans. It's simple power politics. ZANU-PF is defending its mandate, its power, and the opposition is trying to wrestle the power. There's nothing in between. And we are saying the country is suffering in the process. Why don't two rivals sit down? Chamisa, just like what happened to Tsvangirai, you can give him that position of a prime minister and give BT. They all want positions out of Rome. They are not interested in the welfare of the generality of Zimbabweans. They want. So let's see what their outside handlers how they are going to react this time when we have a government of national unity, so that then we give each other responsibility to build an economy. That's the bone of contention. We have to build an economy when we coexist, irrespective of our religious follower or our political alienation, but as Zimbabweans, as veterans, as the vanguard of the revolution, this is where we stand. And this is where we are saying everyone else must come on the table and let's discuss this thing as a way forward.
Okay. Then you also talked about the global agreement pertaining to the compensation of former white commercial farmers. Some are actually saying that that was a progressive move, considering that the toxic nature of our politics is also partly coming from the land issue.
Comrade, you cannot talk of a progressive move when you don't follow history. In the first place, for us to take arms to dislodge colonialist settlers, the reasons were the land issue, our dignity as black citizens, originally Zimbabwe and Africa. It's a God-given gift. We were given by God himself, right? Settlers came in, used the Bible, used Christianity, and then they disempowered us. They made it law that now, from that end, they are going to steal whatever belongs to us. The land, the natural resources. If they even made it law that they will benefit based on their color. Now we must be the first people to go out of our way and compensate before we can even look at 100 years of continuous expropriation of our potential benefits, benefiting the white settlers. And now you are, for only 20 years, disempowering, not even disempowering the colonialists. It was appropriate that now we take our land back. If ever there is any compensation, we should have calculated what they owed us for the past 100 years. And then whatever remains, it goes towards their improvements of the so-called infrastructure. And the difference, they should give us back. That's all we are asking, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Then we are currently afflicted by the COVID-19 pandemic. What would you say of the government response to this particular scourge?
Much as I am not privy to how the government is handling the pandemic, but all I could say from the viewpoint of veterans, we want to live a longer life. And as such, appropriate protocols are supposed to be followed. Our government should do what is right and protect its citizens, but I will also appeal on behalf of the veterans to say, citizens of Zimbabwe, COVID does not discriminate. It doesn't take partisan position, nor racial position. COVID as a pandemic is a killer, and we have to really take precautionary measures to avoid spreading it. We are lucky, though we have lost a number of citizens, but we are lucky that it hasn't escalated to a level where, as compared to other countries. I think we are not doing that, but we can do much better by simply following the right protocols.
Then finally, there have been accusations that the War Veterans Association leadership is among its occupiers, that is the people in positions of leadership, people who are not war veterans. Is there any authenticity to those allegations?
I would think that, to me, is not of much significance. I think let's deal with the elephant in the room. Whether one has gone to war or not, what is at stake? We must be matured enough. We must really be civil enough. To me, whether an individual has participated meaningfully, as we speak to, amongst the two of us, we cannot remove the fact that you contributed meaningfully in the struggle, whether post-independence or before independence. Let's focus on the elephant in the room. What are we faced with? If ever the leadership in the association mismanaged their positions, that's where we are saying we are extremely disappointed. Whether that person came in, after all, even the people we brought in, who are in that leadership, we elected them. Didn't we know that some were not veterans or not. So the blame will be coming to the electorate itself. But I would not dignify that score just because to me it's neither here nor there. You understand what I mean?
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Matue.
I thank you.